Former black gang member Pastor Ray Johnston and former white supremacist TM Garret are erasing the hate. Every Monday, 6 p.m. at WKRA FM 92.7, The Change. Welcome back to another episode here on a beautiful Monday here on WKRA 92.7 FM, The Change here in Holly Springs. This is Erasing the Hate. Right now, solo, at least here in the studio. My partner, Pastor Ray, should be calling in just a minute. And to join me here, he's on the way. It seems he has the same traffic problems he had last time. So he should be calling in any moment, and if he's here.
Yeah. Hey, how y'all doing out there in the radio land? It's good to be on the air again, man. This last week.
So, I'm not entirely solo, just here visible in the studio for everybody who's streaming. And Ray is literally in the car on the way, on the highway, and will be here in 10 to 15 minutes. And we started the show also a little bit later because of that, because I didn't really know when he's coming in. So the show will run until 7:15. And we have actually a special topic. We didn't exactly know what we're going to talk about. We were lining up a guest and talking about something. But what we wanted to talk about with a guest is something that is important all the time. We have something else that's way more pressuring right now. And if we look at the news, if we look at Europe, you know, you guys, I'm originally from Germany, born and raised there. I have family over there. My mother's 74 years old. She's in a nursing home. She's locked in. She can't be with the family. My son, he's at home and he's awaiting this, or his fiance is awaiting the second baby, and he doesn't even know if he can be in the hospital. So this is all very, very weird, and we all don't know if we can have the Christmas that we wanted to have. And I thought, well, this is actually a situation we need to talk about right now, today, just a couple of days before the holidays. So what do you think about it, Ray?
I think it's, I posted yesterday, I posted a picture of me at my podium because of how we do services virtually. I posted a picture, and the picture that I posted, I was behind the podium, and my media team were getting things together and the lights and all that, and I posted, my caption said, learning how to adapt. Mm-hmm. And I think that is where a lot of us is, that we are, what position we're in now, learning how to adapt, because, man, this is nothing that, I've seen before. There's histories of, other viruses and other things in history where, it kind of turned the American people or the people in the world that had to adapt to certain situations because, I heard a guy say the other day that everybody had their pandemic, at some point, some generation had their own pandemic. But for us that we're facing something a little different and just learning to adapt, man. And that is a tragic that, he can't maybe be in the hospital because I watched both of my babies born, I was there with my wife when they born. I cut the umbilical cord, and to experience that is like a lifetime experience, and because of where we are and how things are happening, and, not allowing a person to experience that is like taking away some life, memories, and some life values. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, and sometimes you don't even realize how serious all this is because it seems so far away, and
right.
You don't realize it until it hits home. And for me, I knew it's dangerous. I knew it's deadly. And yes, and again, for everybody, you can see it. Here's the mask. So I came in here with a mask. I will leave with a mask when I go to the store. I'm wearing a mask. But still, it didn't hit home until my stepdaughter had COVID. she doesn't live with us. She's at college in Georgia, so she called us from there that she had all the symptoms and had all the tests, and well, COVID came back positive, and she had all the symptoms, pretty severe. I mean, with all the aches and everything and pain, and then you start realizing how bad it is. And well, everybody probably wondered where we've been last week, and yeah, this is it, COVID. My stepson stayed with his dad for almost a week, and then he came home. He was supposed to work Sunday, and he already felt bad. And then he went to work because we said, okay, if you don't have a fever, it's probably just whatever, And then he said, oh, he feels hot. And so my wife went and took the temperature, and it was high temperature. So, okay, you come home. And next morning, we went straight to the doctor and got a COVID test. And since the result wasn't coming back for a couple of days, we didn't know. We didn't know if we had COVID or not. So the only logical thing for us was also to cancel the radio show, even though we're just 3 people in here. But we have a sound engineer. We have you in here, and I have myself in here. I don't want to give it to you. I don't want to give it to our sound engineer. Therefore, better be safe than to be sorry, and just skip a week, and that is perfectly fine. And but you don't just realize until it hits home, and it hits home.
Right, and you know how even with your mom, being in a nursing home, because I do some medical pickups and transport medical lab work and COVID tests. That's what I do for the last couple of weeks, and just not having that access to your loved ones, and you want to see them. You haven't, especially when you have the the access where you can go and come, whenever you have the time to visit them and be with them. But now you're restricted, So I've seen or heard some of the people that have died from COVID actually died alone. No one could be in the room with them. And, anything like that, because you can't be in a room with them, even if you wanted to, because that's what, they have COVID. So being around them, you could contract it. So just those people that dying alone and not to take that seriously is just like selfish, So being able to understand the severity of it, and also taking the measures that, that we all need to take so that we're safe, so that we can get back to normal and get back to things that we know of being together. And, especially this Christmas season, it's going to be hard for a lot of families.
Oh, it is. And that's a point you said. It's selfish of people who don't understand, or and this is the point where it becomes tricky, It's the same with politics or with other things, that people feel restricted and I changed my mind a little bit towards those people. I still try to make everybody understand, yes, this is deadly. Yes, please, please, please wear a mask. When you go out, wear a mask. Try over Christmas. Don't do the extended family thing. We used to have an extended family Christmas, up in Tennessee. And, Tennessee is the state with the fastest spreading COVID. And usually like 30 people, 35 people. And the weekend before Christmas, which was this past weekend. And we discussed it, and we had a couple options in a barn with social distancing and masks and whatever. And, well, at least our part of the family said at the end, no, we're not even going to do that, because even if it's 30 people or whatever, I think it's even over the limit. But even if it's 20, it's outside, if it's over just in the limit, I think it's still too much, And we decided not to do that. And we just reduced it to 5 people, which was the intimate family. And that's what we did, just to say, okay, this is the family that sees each other on Christmas Day anyway, and this is what you do, 5 people, let us say, just me, my wife, her parents, and sister. And this is what we could stand behind with a good conscience, And nobody says cancel Christmas, I had somebody from Great Britain, and I heard it. It's crazy in Europe, that lockdown, Great Britain, everything. And she sent me a picture, and it said, don't do the Christmas bubble or something like that. having a bubble of like we're discussing 30 people or something.
Right. Yeah.
And yeah, I get it, especially if you have a country that is predominantly Christian, like the US, and it's Christmas. So if you're Christian, right. Christmas, you celebrate the birth of Jesus Christ, right? And right. Yeah, especially as a Christian, you don't want to cancel Christmas, and I get it. And even if you're secular, even then it's a tradition that you don't want to cancel. And I get that too. No kid doesn't want Santa Claus not to come, Right. And, I'm a photographer, and we have that photo studio here in Holly Springs on the square. Wink, wink. And we were discussing to have a photo shoot with a Santa Claus for the kids. And we're only discussing what are we going to do. COVID safe. Well, okay, there's no COVID safe. Period. It's not possible.
Right.
So what are we going to do? Then we decided, okay, we had like an entrance of the building next door, where our partner will open a fish shack in January, and we said, okay, we can put Santa in this entrance, have him sit there, and then have two chairs in front of him, and have the kids sit there so they don't sit on his lap, because we said no lap sitting. This is not the year to do that. When people are waiting, walking up, they have to wear a mask. And we thought we can do that, and we wanted just to space it out and try not to have crowds coming in. So people would have to sign up for the photo shoot. And then a day or two before, I looked at the weather forecast, and well, it's a strip mall, so it's on the square. There's a roof over the spot where we're gonna do the photo shoot. So rain would not have been the problem for the photo shoot per se, but I had the thought, well, what happens when it rains? What do people do when it rains? Well, they will gather under the roof, right?
Right.
So social distancing will be even more limited, because then people who would have waited around the corner or maybe whatever, in the parking lot or wherever, they would all flock under the roof. And no social distancing and masks, yes, but that would be way too close together. Number one, I didn't want to violate any rules either. I mean, we have a citywide or city mandated mask mandate from the city
right.
of Holly Springs, so we do that. And I also thought it's just not safe. It is dangerous if you have so many people maybe gathering under the roof because it's raining, waiting there and talking. Maybe then you know how it is. You talk, and then sometimes right. you take off the mask if it's just to drink. Because we're also gonna offer like coffee and hot chocolate. I mean, you got to take the mask off to drink, and then you're still standing around with 5 people talking. Everybody takes the mask off to take a sip, So what's the point? And so we just decided, and I made a post on Facebook and said, well, we talked to Santa, and we had long discussions with the North Pole, and we decided it is not safe. And we don't want anybody to die, and Santa doesn't want anybody to die. But also, for all the kids that are also listening, or the parents can tell their kids, Santa is still coming on Christmas Day. He will bring the presents, so no worries there. But he would not come for the photo shoot. So we decided, together with Santa, we're not going to do that. But these are just responsible things that I think are the right thing to do. Now, if you have people, and you probably know them just as I do. People that say, I'm not wearing a mask because I think that mask violates my freedom, my right, and it restricts me. It's unconstitutional, and I don't believe it's that bad anyway. What do you think? I mean, you said it's selfish, but do you think those people have a mean thought when they think that? Because I don't think that's the same when conservative people say all Democrats are baby killers, and always say, well, I don't think a Democrat is waking up in the morning and thinks, yes, come on, let's go and kill a baby, right? Sure not. And I think it's the same thing. Yes, it is. I don't understand why people would not wear a mask and why they would put their elders and their parents and grandparents at risk. But at the same time, I don't think those people are standing up in the morning and say, yep, let's gonna infect the grandparents and maybe they're gonna die. So I don't think they're gonna do that either, that they think that. What do you think?
Well, I think it's no different than saying those who have unprotected sex to say, man, I don't believe in that, and risk the chance of getting HIV or any else, because it's a virus as well. So, we got to take the same perspective on that as well. I hate to be so graphic, but it is true. So, is that violating your constitutional right to have protected sex, to stay away from things that may harm you or at some point maybe kill you? Same point, same case in point. So, we have to be responsible for not only ourselves, but those around you. And I always use a scenario of disobedience. And I use a scenario of me driving the car and my family in the car with me, right? Mm-hmm. So if I disobey the law and speed and not wear a seatbelt and disobey the law and speed and drive recklessly, guess what? I have an accident. Now, it wasn't the disobedience of those who were in the car with me, my family. It was the disobedience of me. But guess what? They can be affected by my disobedience as well. Mm-hmm. And I have an accident. It's going to affect everyone in the car. So that's the responsibility that I think we all need to adapt and have to understand it's not about me. Once we get that out of the way, it's not about me. It's not about me showing my constitutional rights. It's not about me doing this. And we learn to have the responsibilities of our brothers and sisters in the world, that we understand that, hey, I have to be responsible because I don't want my disobedience to affect those that are around me. And so take the initiative to do it. But I just think because of people are so much of a rebel these days, that it's the fact of, you're not going to tell me what to do. My constitutional right. No one's telling you what to do. We're giving you great information that's going to be effective, and there's going to be, in the results, is going to accommodate everyone. And so I just think those people are living reckless lives, man, to not take those things into consideration. I just had a guy from school, a guy went to school and he just died. He was a firefighter. He was in good health, no issues. Just died last week. My sister, who we're in the parking lot, the studio is in the parking lot of the hospital that my sister is over the lab, and guess what? She caught COVID on being the first line, and it really hit her hard.
I mean, like on my mother-in-law's family side, her cousin died of COVID last week. No underlying conditions, but she had COVID. She died. I mean, that was the straw that broke the camel's back there, and it was COVID. And it's crazy, I didn't know that until this weekend. By the way, the reason why I'm here, my stepson's test came back negative last week. So we're lucky we didn't catch it, but we didn't know it. Now, you say, like, that status of a rebel that everybody wants to be, disobedience, and because it's unconstitutional. They say it's unconstitutional. And the thing is, you could say it's unconstitutional, but knowing how dangerous it is, but then you would know, okay, I'm doing something that is disobedient, but it's also really, really dangerous. I mean, a lot of people, drunk driving, for example, I mean, everybody knows that it's dangerous and they still do it. Those people do wittingly, knowingly putting people at danger. Or you have, like you said, you have your family and you're driving over the speed limit and no seatbelts. I mean, that is still wittingly, okay, this is against the law and I'm putting my family at risk. It's not just being the rebel. But those people, some of them really seriously believe it's not even harmful. And they say, okay, because it's not harmful, this is why I'm disobedient, because it's only there to oppress us, And that makes it so difficult, because they come up with all kinds of proof, that they use to prove it's not dangerous, or that the flu is more dangerous, or why we should just wait for herd immunity to kick in, which I can say something about it too. I see the point, but there's a big problem that people don't think about, because I think sooner or later sooner or later, they would change from the phone live in the studio. Pastor Ray.
I'm here and present.
And now, since the phone line is free, and I posted the number on Facebook, but here it is, 662-252-6692. Can you believe it? I wrote the number
Wrote
down.
it down this time. Good job.
I went back in the house. I had left the house, and I went back in and told my wife, give me something to write and a pen. I need to write the number down. So we all have flaws, but we all are learning, you know?
That's right.
And
so, I just, just watching my sister, she Zoomed us, some days, and, just watching her not be herself, and having to, hard to breathe. I mean, she almost got to a point where she had to have a ventilator,
Oh, man.
And so she were really down, man, and just to watch her, go up. I like that morning she was good, and she decreased in like 4 hours, like to a point where she needed to be hospitalized.
Mm-hmm.
And even now, even though that's been a couple months ago, she still has to have an oxygen tank, sometimes just to breathe.
Yeah.
But
this is the point. How many people do you know who had the flu with so severe symptoms that it's so visible? And so, I mean, I had the flu. I was down for 2 days, twice in the last couple of years. Yeah, it was bad. But if I hear how COVID affects people, that are healthy, that are young, man, I just hope I'm not going to get it,
Right.
I mean, I guess we're all going to get it sooner or later. I don't know how safe that vaccine is. Not safe in regards of receiving it and maybe being in danger because of the vaccine, but how effective it is,
Right.
And
just to trust that, it just, if you do research, it takes a couple of years to have an effective vaccine,
and that's
and to
like
do
not
it in
even
11
a year.
months, man, 11 months. And they come up with that. And it could be a lot of things. Some people think it's conspiracy. COVID is. They think is, and those
but
people have
is your sister is your sister an actor?
No, she's not an actor.
Did somebody pay her a little money to be a to have an
matter of fact, she lost money because she was all work.
Right. This is the point. I mean, I know it's not a conspiracy. I've seen so many people having it. Daughter-in-law had it with really severe symptoms. Fortunately, not an oxygen tank, so she wasn't that far. But so your sister has it. One of in-laws, one of the relatives died, and so on. I know so many people who's another guy I sometimes film here in Holly Springs. His sister died in the summertime. His cousin died or an aunt. Then the people like in the shop we're working with, her cousin or his cousin died, and then you hear so many people and who catch it, who are really, really in the hospital, who die from it, family. No, you can't tell me it's a conspiracy because those people are not actors.
Now, do I believe that is everything 100% true? That everybody says, that the media says, that everybody. I don't believe that. I believe, something could be, a little, questionable on certain things. But the effects of it is real because especially when it hits home, a lot of people feel that, because it hadn't hit them or they haven't felt it, they don't really, have the knowledge of how it really affects you because they hadn't felt it personally. Or maybe hadn't hit their home personally. Or then some people feel like, okay, yeah, it is what it is. I had one lady who was saying, yeah, we all gonna get at one point. We just, some gonna live and some ain't. We just hope that you be the one that live. And when you have this type of mentality, then you'll live recklessly because you feel that, okay, let's just go ahead and keep the mask off because it's we might as well go ahead and get it.
But isn't this what puts us apart from animals or whatever? This is what we are claiming we're civilized, Otherwise, we would just say, okay, Darwin, it's the survival of the fittest, right? Mm-hmm. And if we talk about this, well, if only the fittest survives, then of course everybody who catches COVID, well, it is what it is. Then just gonna die. Right. But in that case, we're talking about what about mothers who are breastfeeding and the milk doesn't kick in? You know what they did 2,000 years ago, or even 500 years ago, 600 years ago, and you were whatever on your farm outside, or you were within a little whatever, nobody had milk. Well, there was a rule. You had to take your baby, bring it in the woods or whatever, and there was a big rock, and that's where you leave it. Thank you. Do you want that?
Right.
Is this what we are as humans, as civilized humans? Is this? Otherwise, we would just go after our instincts, and this is the part, herd immunity. What I said earlier, and yes, honestly, herd immunity would work. Of course, it would work. You know, who dies, and who all got it, they have it, and the whole world would probably, if it doesn't mutate in some animals or whatever, then it would be gone technically. But the thing is, you know how many people would die
before,
right? Because the hospitals are already at their limits.
Yeah, because not only are they at their limits, the ones who are working, the doctors. There's been doctors who died who have been caring for those who had COVID.
Yeah.
You know, just like my sister, she's over the lab, right? So she testing this stuff every day. So she caught it, you know, and so it's just that, you know, all these people, and then when the people that's supposed to help get you well get sick and die, then where do our help come from? And you know, if we're not careful on how we approach this virus and what we do, because guess what? As you know, as our show is built on unity between all different races, you know, ethnicity, you know, gender, and also a religion. But think about it. This thing has no respect of person, you know, and it doesn't care what color you are, you know, it doesn't care what your political views are. It doesn't care anything about that. You know, if you're doing the wrong thing and not protecting yourself, it doesn't judge you and say, okay, I'm gonna just get black people, I'm gonna just get white people. No, it wants to come to everybody.
No.
So,
but it's so tricky. We're talking about erasing the hate. Okay, that was my thought. I thought today, again, we had a guest and we're talking to him, and we also decided he's very slammed and everything, and since he's so slammed and his topic is always timely, so it doesn't matter if we do his interview in January, you know. I thought, let's just talk about something that is timely, that is important, and where we all have to think about. Christmas is here, it's there, and you know, the season where we all should have more compassion. You know how people say the season when you have more compassion, give more. We should do it every day, all day, you know. But this is just what it does. And then you talk about compassion, and then you have, you know, again, two sides. And we're talking about it so often, I'm almost getting tired of it. You have two sides, and you have, of course, the side that says this virus is real. You know, we have to protect ourselves. We're wearing masks if we go out, and we don't go out too much, so we try to stay away from crowds and just limit everything to something that is reasonable. And you have the other side who says, mask? Do you want to silence me? That's unconstitutional. I'm not going to do that. And you just want to keep Christmas away from me and stuff like that. Yeah. And they're clashing again, and people are calling each other out. And it's, again, the same like the racist, the baby killer thing with the Republicans and the Democrats.
It's the same concept.
And you have the same thing. You have like, so you, and I made the mistake before. I called out people on Facebook before, these anti-maskers, and said, okay, so you're actually responsible. If your granddad dies, you're actively, wittingly responsible if you don't wear a mask. And I'm not doing that anymore, because talking about these things, you know, we all grow, we all evolve, we all have flaws. And I'm trying to not to put these things on Facebook anymore. I'm trying to wait a day or two, reflect on things before I post it, you know.
Right.
And think about, before I call these people out, where are they coming from? Why are they reacting like that? And also think, what can we do to sit down? Well, not right now, not sit down, but social media is a trap anyway. That's a big problem. But where can we get the compassion in when we talk about a deadly virus?
So
that's the question I'm asking.
The compassion is understanding other people's views, as just like it is with politics, understanding other people's views on how they feel. Because that, you know, and people, you know, we talk about the flag and we talk about those who fought for our rights, but then you do something like Colin Kaepernick, you do something like him, oh, you going against, but didn't people die for us to have the freedom of speech? And he's using his constitutional right. So it's just like that. So if people say, I'm going to wear a mask, and you like, oh, that's taking away your constitution, do you not respect or have the compassion for me to make this choice on to wear it because I want to be more responsible, and then you have your views about me? Because there's a pastor who's in the middle part of Tennessee, who is, he's a big Trump supporter. So he's been spending all his time supporting Trump and have these Trump rallies and all these things. But this is what he says to the evangelicals and those who are not opening up their church. He called pastors who's not opening up their church because of COVID. He's calling them yellowback. He's calling them cowards. And he said, they need to take their preacher's license and just shred them because they're afraid of a virus and not opening their church up. And so, that I think that is just, man, that's kind of rude, and there's no compassion for those who make a choice. No one's ever pastored in a pandemic. You don't know where to keep your doors open or have the faith and say God will heal us if we get this. So for those who close their door, we shouldn't have a judgment against them, and those who keep their doors open, we shouldn't have a judgment against them. That's their constitutional right to make that choice. But in mind, we have to keep on, our mind and saying, what am I doing? And am I being responsible for those that are around me?
But what if it's a city mandate or state mandate that you can't have gatherings over 20 people, that they shut down shops, that you have to wear a mask or whatever, and people still don't do it? Right. You're actually breaking a law.
You are, and that's what they're saying. A lot of the conservative evangelicals, they're saying that if we let them make us wear masks and dictate those things, then they're going to close the church down. They're going to close the church doors, and then they're going to take away religious rights and all those type of things.
But it doesn't make any sense, especially if you are a Republican or a conservative, and then you see just 2 days ago, Mike Pence, his wife, and what was it, General? I don't know who else it was.
Yeah.
With a mask on, walked up the podium, with a mask on, took the mask off, got the vaccine. Two things that the regular conservative actually despises, masks and the vaccine. And then you have the vice president, who's the second in command, okay, and a conservative, a Republican, actually embodying these two things. It must be actually for those people, like, as a Christian, that he's wearing upside down cross up there, right? You know what I mean?
Right.
This is the logic that I don't understand. Then you have even Trump sometimes said it. He didn't say it often, but he said it a couple times. Wear a mask, and he even said he will get the vaccine. Say what you will about Trump,
Right.
but this is what he said. Then you have all his followers, and this is unfortunately a fact. Most of the anti-maskers or conspiracy theorists, the majority, are conservatives. I'm not saying all conservatives are, because I know many that aren't. I know some people in the black community who are very afraid of a conspiracy, that it could be true, that the vaccine could be of the devil, that...
well, they say that the percentage of black people that, there's a high percentage of black people that will not take the vaccine. And that's where they're trying to, if you notice some of the commercials or the news are showing, like, the first person they got the vaccine was a black lady, and then you have some of the other ones that's coming on as black people showing, yeah, I got the vaccine, because they're trying to encourage and show that, okay, show black people to do it, because the status or what they're saying is only about maybe 30% of the black people will take the vaccine and 77% will not take. That says, they ask you these questions,
right?
That have took record that say about.
I mean, seriously, I don't know about the vaccine. I mean, do I trust it? Seriously, I haven't thought that far, because it's not here yet, and I'm maybe in line, but
yeah.
It's not my spot yet.
I'm like this. You jump in the water. If it's good, I come in. don't know about it.
Yes, they're evil people. They're evil people. They're evil people that want to do bad things in this world. And I guarantee there's evil people in America that want to do bad things. Do I think the majority are evil? That there's that huge conspiracy? Actually, no. And the reason for that is, so for this conspiracy to be true, so many things would have to be true. So many things. It makes it so unlikely. And it's just statistically and logically.
Some people think it's it is what I'm about to say. Environment and control is controlling population control. Some people say that it was pushed out by certain people, and then is to control population, because the earth is full of people and it's like
that is it is something interesting, and we are both more leaning towards the left. I mean, but saying in that position, saying something like that might be possible is maybe an unpopular opinion, because usually people who are more liberal than conservative tend not to support those theories. I'm not supporting that theory, but
I consider myself conservative Democrat.
That's pretty much what I could say, or maybe you could say I'm maybe a liberal Republican.
Yeah, exactly.
Somewhere in the middle. I have my healthy share of both.
Exactly.
And but do I say that a conspiracy like this does not exist? Population control. The thing is, I can't say it doesn't exist. No, I can't say that there's a bigger conspiracy. There's certain things I can't say. One thing I know for sure, that virus is real. Why it's out there? Well, I don't know. I mean, you can go back and look. Okay, was it a bat in China that got eaten, or what? And they have different theories. Or was it somebody working in a laboratory and they were working on the SARS-2 virus and whatever, and it got released accidentally? I think that is the most likely scenario that happened to me, that it was accidentally set free, because it is not, because some people said, it was just brought on America to destroy Trump. I mean, look at Europe, look at other countries, look at Asia and whatever. No, it's affecting the whole world. I mean, that is bogus. That is, I don't think that. But you see, if you see just on a scale how likely something is happens, and how many things have to happen to support a conspiracy theory. Right. So that's what I think. Okay, probably happened with a laboratory. I don't think it was on purpose. It was more like an accident. Do I think China tried to cover it up? Yeah, I pretty much think so. Do I think the whole virus situation is used by politicians? Hell yeah, worldwide. It shouldn't. It shouldn't, but it is used for their agenda, which it shouldn't. Right. But do I think it's real? Do I think it's dangerous and kills people? Yes, I've seen it. I think it is real. And we are just in a situation where we can decide, okay, this is why it maybe happened, or why it was, how it was brought up, how it was created. But at the end, we're sitting here right now. So the reason why it was created, that is something we have to fix later. That is something we can investigate later.
That's a lot.
Right now, we have to fix that,
Yeah.
And of course, if there's a conspiracy that somebody knows, and I said that before, what do you think? Let's say you're in charge, and this is very unpopular. Don't shoot me here. You're in charge over the world, okay? There's, of course, there's meetings worldwide that are real, they're not conspiracies. It's just country leaders, economical leaders, and so on, and military worldwide that are meeting, and they're discussing what's going on in the world. And of course, they're discussing also world population, Right. And with 8 billion people now. Okay, there's talks that it's probably stall at 11 or 12 billion. And probably the planet can't just handle that. But these are theories. We don't know. Maybe it will explode further. Now there's also calculations where they say the planet cannot handle 15 billion people. Period. Not possible. I don't know the number, so don't nail me on that. If you look it up, don't say TM said 15 million. But let's just say a number. Let's say 15 million. It might be higher or whatever. But the world only can handle so many people. What if you would have the knowledge and the choice? You just let humans breed until it hits 15 million people, and in 2 generations, this planet is done and humans are done for sure? Or you do something against it and mankind will live? That is crazy. This is nothing humans should be in charge of.
Right.
A decision.
And it wasn't like, okay, I have a degree in theology, right? So I'm going to throw some theology at you concerning that question that you just asked.
Mm-hmm.
So some theologians believe when God created the earth and he told Adam and Eve to subdue the earth and fill the earth, right? And when sin happened, that God stopped the process, that it would end with earth, because some theologians believe that the other planets was to populate after the earth get too full with people. And so the process stopped. So that's why the other planets are not complete, because they would have been complete after you subdued the earth, and that's why you have them. I never heard of that. Okay, back in the day, you always heard them say, "Well, Mars is probably the better place that people can survive on because
it always sounds like okay, either it was inhabitable before and it's not anymore, but it also could be not finished,
right?" And so that's why they've always searched and said, okay, that I never when I was young, I'm like, why are they going to the other planet? What are they discovering? And maybe they had this in their head, like at one point the Earth's gonna be overpopulated.
But if we go back to theology, God also said later it is okay again, right?
Right.
Also a sin. Maybe God has decided then I can continue developing, and therefore actually that theory and theology fully would support alien life, for example, which may be by God, right?
Right.
So, which we don't know. I mean, this is a big universe, and it's beyond us. What, and this is what I say. Whatever it is, what the squad, created this universe, where it stopped, because we don't know that. That's beyond literally beyond our horizon. We just don't know.
And that's why some theologians believe that it did stop. Like it was to be.
But you don't know that.
Yeah, they don't know that. So they believe that this probably, they have certain things in Scripture to try to, help support that. But it's still like, okay.
But if the sin questions, like, if you're a Christian, then you believe that Jesus died for your sins. Then the sin question is solved, right?
Right.
Then there's no reason for God not to continue. If we talk about that logic.
Well, back on the theology side, God said we have to die to be reborn again because our flesh is sin. When our spirit, when He came and saved us, He saved our spirit to be not sinful, so it could be acceptable to heaven. So now that the body has to go back to the dust because it is sinful nature. So you're not in sin anymore, but you live in sinful nature, which is your body can choose things that it craves that goes against God. So that's why God can't continue. That's why the Bible says He has to make a new Jerusalem, a new earth, and a new heaven, so that it could adapt, so that we can adapt to our new bodies and things that God is going to give us, because this body is sinful. So that's why God cut off the process to continue.
Okay. Well, we got a little bit off track here, but it's just interesting. So, what is your point? If answer my question, with our, let's say, 12 billion people. It might stall there, but it might go higher.
It just, all things come to an end. And most of the time when things end, it ends from some type of destruction.
Mm-hmm.
Whether we call death or dying, it's a destruction of the body. It's cutting, shutting down, or even if you just no disease or anything, no health problems, it's getting older, everything starts shutting down. It's a disaster. Is happening. So everything at some point is going to be a disaster where it's going to end. Everything there has to be an end to something, and so I just think, it's going to come to that point where it's going to be like that. It's going to be, and some even believe that China released it. Now, I'm just saying this is allegedly.
Yeah.
Some people said that China released it because they were overpopulated, and it was just supposed to be for them. So they control the population.
They are. And
it's supposed to have
right.
just affected the older people because they had people living too long in China.
So, but okay, now let's play the devil's advocate.
Okay.
And say there's a conspiracy, and the conspiracy is not that it doesn't exist and that it is deadly and that the flu is more deadly. No, it is deadly. It is highly deadly. It exists, and it was released for population control by whomever.
Mm-hmm.
Because at this point, it doesn't even matter by whom. Right now, it matters how are we going to solve this, right?
How are we going to survive?
But this is humans are sometimes weird. You know, you see a problem, and instead of solving this problem, you start to blame people. This is what happens.
Yeah.
This is what happens between people or spouses if you're married. You know,
right?
That happens. I mean, you see the problem is there, but before you solve the problem, you look for the culprit, right?
Get it off of you.
Does it solve the problem? No. You can look what's the mistake to not repeat the mistake. But most people don't do that. It's not about not repeating the mistake. It's just, it's not my fault, it's yours.
Right.
And it's not our fault, it's China's fault.
Yeah.
But where does it solve our problem here? It doesn't. And this is just a human flaw that we have. And I catch myself, you know, I've got flaws just like you and everybody, you know.
Yeah.
And I catch myself, like, maybe talking to my wife, too, and then I catch myself, and say, okay, I acted wrong here, you know, because we should focus on that solution, you know?
Mm.
And it's...
Hey, I know some people out here that has their point of view. So go ahead, you guys call us. Let us know your point of view.
662-252-6692. The problem is the sound engineer stepped out. I don't even know if they can get through at the moment.
Oh, okay.
But
we got 10 minutes.
But let's do this. This is a conversation I would like to keep going. And let's promote the number a little bit for next week and try to have people calling in. And because I think there's way more to talk, because my initial question, this is why I approached you today, why we're not going to talk about this. Erasing the hate. And you have two groups almost hating each other, saying, you are not wearing a mask when you go out because you think this is a conspiracy. I mean, look, whoever you are listening, if you don't wear a mask, because you think it's a conspiracy, it's your God-given right to believe it's a conspiracy. It's your God-given right to not wear a mask unless there's a mask mandate, because then it's a mask mandate, period, by the government.
Mm-hmm. Just like a speed limit.
Right. It's like the speed limit. And better be safe than to be sorry. I mean,
exactly.
But this is just, you know, a lot of times you see somebody. Okay, you see somebody. Let's just see. We have about 10 minutes left. You see somebody that just disobeys these rules. You know, is that rebel and wants to maybe organize a anti-mask rally or stuff all like that, you know. I'm just, for some time I really was almost hostile against those people, and were like, how can you not understand? How can you go out there and maybe infect your grandparents, our elders, you know, the elders who were in World War II, who were in Vietnam, who protected this country, you know, who were marching in the 60s with Dr. King and so on. How can you put them in danger? And especially if you're a religious person, not only Christian, if you're Christian, Jewish, if you're a Muslim, if you're whatever, Hindu, it's always about your elders. It's always about love your neighbor as yourself. All religions have that in common. Treat others how you want to be treated.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, it's just responsibility, man. You know, you have to be considerate of other people and take the initiative. You know, even if you feel, no one's saying that your feelings or the way you feel about that it is you know, that you should be against those people. That it has nothing to do with that. Put the mask on just because maybe it can help. Maybe it can help. It won't. One thing it won't do is hurt you.
Mm.
No one's asking
No,
people
it
to
won't.
do something that they're going to.
And some people say your oxygen level goes down. My wife had to go to a hospital. I think we have a caller.
Yes. Hello.
Hey, welcome to the show.
Station?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm coming down the road and I'm listening to y'all conversation. You got a great conversation. You're right on the point. I'm Ira Muhammad here in Hollis Springs. I'm enjoying your program. You got a great point there. It's very, very deep. And I know one of you all a minister, aren't you?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, well, I thought. But you're right on point. And that's when I call you a minister, that the time has produced all of this. Even from if you study your Bible, you understand a lot of things. There's a time for all of this to happen. And we are in that time now. And we are, in our this ordinary life, we call it, we say a judgment day was coming. But I hope that what's going on now will bring some of our people, our listeners, to think, we are in that time. There's a time so far, I think, while ago about time that employed many generations. There's going to be this generation got to go sometime too. So it's on a time factor. So I'm going to hang up and let you go. I'm enjoying your program.
All right. Thank you, sir. Thank you for calling in.
Thank you so much.
So, okay, thank you. So as he was saying, the Bible talks about there's a time and a place. There's a timeline. If you read scriptures, there's a timeline on what things that was supposed to happen before the coming of Christ. So I think that's what he's saying, that these are events. Because if you read the scripture, about Moses, God had put 10 plagues on them so that Pharaoh can let his people go. So there's a time when all these things are happening. So, I understand, exactly what he's saying. But, a lot of people now, they're not thinking about that. They're not listening to that. All they saying is, you taking away my rights and you making me feel like this. And so, hey, I'm not going to do it.
One interesting thing is, too, so I just looked, we have 5 minutes left. One interesting thing is, too, I'm Facebook friends with a lot of conservative people. It's just probably half mixed, half. And a lot of people who are not big fan of masks, who believe in conspiracies, but I see more and more pictures of them wearing masks because they have to,
right?
And even post those pictures. And I appreciate that they're not completely disobedient. They're like one person, the person from the music business, was selling something at a mall, had to wear a mask to do that. Wore a mask, not completely disobedient. Other people, when they go in a public building, wear a mask. Well, on the other hand, I had somebody, I was mentioning the Santa Claus photo shoot here in Holly Springs that we, at the end, had to cancel. But when I said, well, there will be a mask will be required while you wait there, and one person was commenting on Facebook, I'm not coming anyway. And I'm like, okay, what's the reason? It was a discussion about something else. But he said, well, I'm not sick, my kids are not sick, we're not going to wear a mask. But again, okay, then just don't come. Which is fine. If there's an event, you have to wear a mask. If you think you're not coming because of, okay, that's, at least the people didn't come and just completely were disobedient. If I go to Walmart, if I go to Kroger or whatever, I see the majority of people wearing masks. Maybe, because they were forced to it, but at least...
That signs on the door.
And at the end, we're talking about Facebook a lot, okay? And I think it's often the same people that are putting their stuff out, right? And you have the same people who are reacting to that, giving them that instant gratification. But I think it is a minority. Even on the political side, you have Democrats and you have those Republicans. If I look in my friends list, 3,500 people, but it's always the same 10, 20 on each side who are making the stink,
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, it's always their friends who are liking it then. Right. But those people, they're not putting it out. That shows me also social media is a great tool to connect to people. A lot of people work only through and with social media. But it's also, I believe, not a multiplier, but like a megaphone. It makes those single people's voices so much louder. It's like giving somebody who's in charge a Twitter account. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's what I said. Some people think, "Oh, Trump is so horrible." That's my opinion. I just think he's not a good human being, and period. But that's my opinion. But I said, we don't know 100, 200 years ago which president would have looked exactly the same way if he would have had a Twitter account. We don't. George Washington owned slaves. He didn't like to give speech. What if he had a Twitter account?
Right.
And we're talking about the founding father, okay?
Right.
But we don't know, because they didn't have that megaphone. Then you have those people on Facebook with a megaphone that makes their voices so much, amplifiers that make their voices so much louder. And I think this is also here, when we look at this, also when it comes to COVID, that those people that have these platforms just make the voice so much louder. We're almost at the end here. We have to wrap it up. Thanks for the person calling in. And again, write the number down for next time, 662-252-6692. Thanks for still coming in.
Oh, yeah, no problem. And I had to be here. But I'm going to tell our audience right out here, mask up. Do it because it's needed to be.
Protect our elders. Thank you for tuning in today here on WKRA 92.7 FM, The Change here in Holly Springs. See you again next week.